We're back, people, and today we got mock draft version 8.0 for the Miami Dolphins 2025 NFL draft, going through 7 rounds. This one, we've done so many of these now. I think this one I'm gonna just try to predict. This is being more predictive mock draft where I'm just gonna guess what I think the Miami Dolphins would do at each pick, depending on how the board falls. Obviously, things would change, in an actual scenario, but I just kind of want to see how things kind of actually fall. So here, pretty interesting. So off the board, we just missed out on Will Johnson, Armand Membo, which, sucks. Some of the top options that I think, Miami might be interested in, for sure. Now, for me, honestly, if the board fell this way, and for me, I actually would probably take Tyler Warren, because a lot of my favorite options are off the board. I don't think the Dolphins will. I also don't think they're going to go Kelvin Banks. I'm also a little lower on Kelvin Banks, and I do think he's a scheme fit. He could potentially play left guard, but I think he's just going to be rated a little lower than maybe people think. So looking at the top, I don't think they're going to go after these guys, honestly. Tyler Booker. Offensively, I don't think they're looking at these guys. So it really comes down to the defense side of the ball. I think Jalen Walker is someone who's potentially in play. But the Dolphins have a lot of guys who are more edge players, and Walker is an edge guy. I think they could be high on him. And it really comes down to, a Malachi Starks. Jahdae Barron, I think, is in play. They have him at 24, but I think Jahdae Barron will be in play, especially if Will Johnson's off the board. I think Barron will be a corner they're heavily interested in. And then also, I think Kenneth Grant is, the D lineman that is a possibility here. Because I think D-line and corner feel the most likely to me. So honestly, I think really it probably comes down, just if I'm doing a predictive mock here, kind of guessing what Miami would do. I actually think Kenneth Grant and Jahdae Barron feel more likely. Also, Nick Emenwari, I feel like the Dolphins will like more than me. I'm still probably not going to guess safety just because safety is not a premium position, and they put more resources into safety in free agency. So it really comes down to Barron and Grant. I'm pretty 50-50 here, guessing what Miami will do, because I think there's a world where they like both quite a lot. I think I'm just going to lean Jahdae Barron because Barron will make more of an impact, I guess, on your defense from a passing game perspective, at least early on. And, he brings that versatility. But I would not be surprised if they preferred Kenneth Grant over him. But I'm going to go Barron this time. Just see how the board falls. I actually kind of prefer going corner over the D tackle anyways. But we're going to go Barron. Great, fit for the Dolphins scheme. Great, honestly, just very good talent. Probably one of the smarter players in the class. Alright, ignore that. Okay, interesting. So the top player on the board, it did end up being a corner. This is actually probably the only second round corner I like, is Trey Amos for Miami. I actually think he's another decent fit, but obviously I'm not going to go in that direction and go back-to-back corners. I think second round is a combination of whatever you didn't do in the first, or whatever, that kind of goes off the board, corner, probably not. Then it comes down to either O-line, so I think Ursari's in play, or potentially D-line. Let's see what they got at D-tackle. D-tackle options aren't too bad, but a lot of the top ones are off. I'm not a huge Deion Walker guy. I don't think the Dolphins will love Deion Walker either. They might, but I don't think they'll love him as much. I actually think they'll really like TJ Sanders. So to me, this probably comes down to either TJ Sanders, Darius Alexander, maybe Makuba, but I don't think the Dolphins will go in that direction. Or Ariante Ursary, who... Ursary, 6'6", 331, tested pretty well. Has, played mostly left tackle throughout his career, but I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up getting moved around at the next level, even playing guard or potentially right tackle. So this is someone I could see the Dolphins potentially being interested in this spot. Actually, also, Mason Taylor. I actually think the Dolphins would heavily consider Mason Taylor at this spot as well. I'm just going to go with Ursary. One of the top talents on the board, and it kind of fills a big need. I don't know if they're going to value O-line this high. This is kind of me taking a little bit of a leap here, but I'm going to end up going O-line in that direction. So the board fell weird in kind of both of these spots, kind of different than, I think what I'm used to in these mocks, so kind of tough to get into the mind there. Oh, it actually ended up working out pretty nicely because I was considering TJ Sanders at the other spot. Now TJ Sanders fell to 98. Okay, that's perfect. Honestly, both these guys would be great values. I really like TJ Sanders and Alfred Collins. Now it comes down to, do you prefer more of the 3 tech? He plays with some good power. He's more of a guy that can disrupt, definitely be that sort of pass rusher type. Well, Alfred Collins would be like he would be what you would go after if you missed on Kenneth Grant, actually. Has some great physical tools to work with and just a dominating interior presence versus the run. So this is actually the best I think the third round has fell in a while for my since I've done these mocks. Because usually I get to the third round and I don't love my option, but C.J. Sanders, Alfred Collins, good picks. Even players like Kyle Williams, Cameron Scadabo, Jordan Birch, Terrence Ferguson are actually not even too bad here either. Interesting. Trying to think, who do I end up going here? I think I'm going to go Sanders because even though I like both of these players a lot, I think I prefer Sanders just being more of a disruptive presence. And I'm just guessing the Dolphins will like Sanders a bit more. So we're going to go TJ Sanders at that spot. See how this falls. You get here to the fourth round. Okay, this is like a Restrepo pretty high. I've talked about it. I think once you get to like that third round pick, it really becomes like BPA. Like I think they're going to go BPA with like a bunch of positions in mind early on and then maybe have some positions not that they're going to take. And then I think once you get to that third round pick, since it's such a late third and you have so many picks coming up in the fourth round and the fifth round, that they might be more willing to go BPA at positions that aren't as big a need. Like I wouldn't be surprised if they end up taking, like a receiver or a running back or, something with that last pick. And now we get here. Very interesting spot to be in. So we've gotten, corner, O-line, D-line off the board. We've gotten your three biggest needs. Now I feel like, you got a little more flexibility to go all over the place. I actually really like Oladejo here. And he's like, I know the Dolphins have a lot of edges, but I think he's a good scheme fit. Would also just be a dominant run defender off the edge. And he's a guy with scheme versatility. Like he's had to, experience playing an off-ball linebacker, which I think is interesting. I don't love the safeties here. The safety kind of falls off. We got corner, linebackers, not great value. D-line, I think CJ West is definitely someone I would consider here. And he is more of a one-tech, so like I don't mind doubling up back-to-back. But I think in this situation, I'm going to go Femi Oladejo. Good player, very good run defender, and I actually think has pretty high upside to get even better. So now we get here. Interesting how this felt. I actually think I'm going to go, kind of probably, first like skill position on offense is Damian Martinez. I like both him and Tune a lot. I'm not going quarterback. Feels like a waste of a pick, and I think the Dolphins might see it the same way. Even though Will Howard at this point actually would be pretty good value, so I would be definitely something I would discuss. But I'm going to lean Damian Martinez here over Tootin, even though I think Tootin's a great scheme fit and very explosive, is that Tootin has a really bad fumble history. I even think it says it here. Historically bad ball security, 9 fumbles over 2 seasons. Like, he fumbles a lot. And Damian Martinez kind of fills that hole of, like, bigger back, and he was a dominant short yardage guy. So I'm going to go Damian Martinez in that situation. Got 2 more picks coming up here, pretty back-to-back. Okay, cool. Got some D-line potential here. Both of the Notre Dame guys. I think I actually prefer Riley Mills for Miami. I like J.J. Pegues. Elijah Roberts is interesting too. Wouldn't be surprised if the Dolphins like that. See, it just looks like safety is going to be the position I end up ignoring again. I could take Hunter Wooler actually with the next pick because they have him ranked pretty low for some reason. I think Wooler actually would be a good value in round 5. So once we get to this pick, I think I'm going to take Wooler at 155. Now, who do I take here at 150? Who do I think they would like? I think they could like Demetrius Knight Jr., but will they go O-line? Or will they go linebacker? What am I saying? Pegues is a potential D-tackle. Riley Mills. Elijah Roberts. I actually wouldn't be surprised if they like Elijah Roberts because he's 6'3", 285, has experience as a D-tackle and as an edge, and plays with power. I wouldn't be surprised if they liked him a lot, even potentially even more than like a Pegues. And Roberts actually tested pretty well at 8.7. I haven't taken him yet. I actually feel like they might like Elijah Roberts a lot. It does feel like a guy that kind of fits what they would do, especially in this spot, and I don't mind the value. So I'm just going to take a guess here and think they're going to like Elijah Roberts. And then, boom, I think they're going to go here and heavily consider a Hunter Wooler if he's on the board, and I think he's good value. 6'2", 213, guy that has some positional versatility. Probably won't play as like middle of the field free guy, but I think they could like him a lot. So I'm going to go Hunter Wooler. Good matchup, play down in the box, physical guy, tested better than I even expected. And that kind of takes care until you go to the 7th. So you got a corner and O-line. You doubled up on D-tackle. Also got an edge in there, running back, safety. You filled in some needs for sure, while also like not going like too crazy out of it. This is why like I still prefer. This is why like I just go my style and just take best player available. Because I think if I went best player available, I probably would have gone on different spots on a couple of these. I probably would have just taken Tyler Warren in the first. Second round pick, maybe probably would have gone Trey Amos over Ursary. Probably still would have gone like Sanders. And then, these guys are more BPA style picks like Oladejo and Damon Martinez. That's just because of how the board fell. Now we get to the 7th. Who we got? Who do we have here? I don't even know some of these guys at the top. Luke Lachey, interesting. I don't think the Dolphins will love him, though, as a tight end prospect. Ooh, tight ends don't look too good. I guess I'll just take Dipree with my last pick to fill a need. Receivers, no. O-line. Do we go Willie Lampkin? Willie Lampkin, my guy. Well, do I think the Dolphins will actually take him? I think they might. I think they'd be willing to take that shot, especially in round 7. Boom, boom, boom. Could go edge here, but we don't really need edge, except just edge looks like some of the better value at this spot. Could double up on corner, actually, or safety. I'm going to go BJ Adams, because I feel like they might value him. 6'1", 182, has, like, the size and length they look for. More willing to play as, like, a press man physical guy, which they might be, a thing that they're kind of looking for. I wouldn't be surprised if they actually like Caleb Ransaw, too. I like Ransaw a lot to lane corner, and he tested well. He plays more of like a nickel, like safety type role, but yeah, he's lined up everywhere. You know what? Actually, I'm gonna go BJ Adams since I went Barron in the first, and Ransaw's more of a Barron type. I'll go BJ Adams because he can play outside of that's needed, maybe developmental guy. And then you get here, boom, we roll here and end up just taking tight end, and we'll take. Then the tight end that they'll probably see as the best scheme fit is either probably some of these guys down here. I think the guys at the top are more receiving tight ends that I'm not necessarily looking for. So we're just going to go CJ Dipree because I have a pretty good understanding of who he is, at least as a blocker. And they have him rated pretty low. I think he gets drafted. So, yeah, interesting draft. It's always, I like doing these, different types of scenarios in mind, where sometimes it's more what I would do, then sometimes being more like position focused, and then sometimes just being like doing a predictive mock, trying to guess how which players they'll pick. I do think this is like the kind of area, like I do think corner and D tackle will get picked fairly high. It might not be in this exact order. Like I wouldn't be surprised if O line actually ends up being more in this area, like 3rd or 4th pick, and then D tackles first, corner second, something like that. But that's just sort of how the board fell this time in the area I decided to play it. You do get good players. I don't think this is the best mock I've done, but like you're getting a guy who will contribute right away, starting on defense at corner. TJ Sanders would, probably actually be your starter also, just based on who you have in the room initially, and depending if you had Calais back. Ursary would be fighting for your starting left guard spot, also potentially be your main swing tackle. Oladejo would be a rotational guy. Martinez would see playing time for sure. Roberts would be rotational. Wooler would actually potentially have a chance to start just due to the safety room. And like honestly, there's guys who have potential to at least see some playing time at every spot. Definitely more early on being like full on contributors, but honestly, some rotational guys across the board there. So if you guys really do want to comment, subscribe to TikTok.